Hi everybody, welcome to today's live. Coming in 5 minutes earlier to prepare the space, and I'm very excited about today's live. Very happy. Today we have a lunar eclipse in Aquarius, and Aquarius is the sign of humanity, of the welfare, of the well-being of the people. So our intention, my colleagues and I, is to speak about something that may be useful, that may bring goodness and let's say add value to your knowledge, to your interest. We are not making a controversy out of nothing. We are speaking from our personal experiences as senior teachers in the Ashtanga Yoga lineage, the Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga lineage. So good morning, good afternoon here in Europe. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining us, and I do hope that more join and also share. So this space is dedicated to our gurus, to those who have inspired us on the path of yoga, those who may be not here physically but that are with us always in our hearts. So I'm going to start with the Guru Mantra. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Welcome everybody. So yes, we are about to start a lunar eclipse in Aquarius. It's a very powerful day. It's a day to go within, to be home, to remember everything we value, everything that is important to us. It's also the start of the Pitru Paksha, which is 2 weeks that are very important in the Indian tradition to honor our ancestors. So yoga is the art of being in the here and the now, and we look back to learn and to make this moment more significant and more powerful. So our choices of today can be the success of tomorrow, and not only the success in the material world, but the success in the spiritual world, which is the really important one for each one of us. In these times of extreme transformation and so much pain and suffering around us, and also in our own personal lives. As a student of my teacher, Sharaji, his passing was very traumatic to many of us that loved him and respected him for many years. And our intention with my colleagues Kristina and Todd, both senior teacher, is to share with you a little bit of where we come from. Not where we come from in a physical way or in the sense of time, but where we come from in our heart, what we have learned, and how this may be useful for you who maybe are starting your Ashtanga practice and then are a little bit confused and lost about what is happening in the community after so many changes. And our intention is to speak our truth and to defend the beauty and power of the Ashtanga Yoga lineage as we experienced it, and to preserve it so the future generations can also experience the transformation. So it's not something that you're going to read about, it's something that you're going to feel in your bones, in your life. The transformation is not only about the asana, it's through the asana, but your whole life is going to be transformed because your mind is going to be transformed. So I welcome my friends. Thank you so much for being here. Questions, please send them. We're going to be in this live for 1 hour, and it would be wonderful to have your input.
Hi, Mariella.
Hi, Todd. Hi.
Good to see you.
So good to see you again. Yes, yes. I letting Kristina in as well.
Okay, good.
And I was gonna ask you if you can do a mantra before our session.
Yeah, what would you like?
Yes, whatever feels good for you. Hi, darling.
Hello, I am a bit upside down. I don't know what's happening. Let me
You
just.
might have to turn to your phone.
Yeah,
I have to find the correct way, I guess.
yes. So
For
nice
some
to have you
reason,
both. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for being here.
give me a little bit more
Uh,
time. Okay,
Like we were
perfect.
speaking the other day, it's been a very lonely journey for me. And then when Todd joined in Guru
Uh-huh.
Purnima and now Kristina also, thank you so much. I feel like supported and I feel loved by you both, and I'm so
Yeah,
happy you're here.
welcome. Yeah, I'm
Thank
really
you so
happy. Kristina
much.
is here to join us
Hi,
because,
Todd.
Yes,
yeah, hey, good to
yes,
see you again, Christina.
so
Lovely.
nice.
But I
Yeah.
cannot see Mariella.
You
Oh,
Is
cannot
it?
see
no?
me, but you can hear me. It's
I can hear
okay.
you. Okay, so that's
Yes,
okay. Okay.
yes. So where I can
Yeah.
see you and the three of you are, and this is going to be recorded. So then I'm going to post it, and then you can share
Okay,
it as well.
beautiful.
Okay, Todd, go ahead,
Okay,
please.
how about the mantra to the guru?
Yes, that
Yeah.
sounds wonderful. Yes.
Om Brahmanandam Paramasukaram Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gaganasadresham Tattvamasyadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sardvati Sakshiputam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami.
My
Thank you.
God, so beautiful. I don't know that
Oh,
mantra, Todd. You have
oh
to
no,
send
you
it
don't.
to
Oh,
me.
thanks.
Really nice, really nice.
Yeah,
Very nice. Thank you.
yeah.
Christina, would you like to chant something before we start?
My favorite is like just do this setting because obviously it was upside down. I'm Greek, so these things are happening constantly.
Yeah.
Om Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Punaktu Savidam Karavai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. And since we spoke last week, I have been reflecting a lot on what we shared, and I have been asking myself, I think, an important question. Today is the eclipse also, and the opening of Pitru Paksha and the honoring of the ancestors.
Yeah.
So, what is God for me? You know, I have been thinking of that, and with the
Mhm.
experience of the practice. And
Mhm.
I came out with an answer, which is God is order, and God
Uh-huh.
is law, and God is dharma. When there is
Mhm.
dharma, then we can feel the love of God. If things are chaotic, if things are confusing, then it's pretty hard, you know, to find a
Mhm.
balance and a ground. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. Yep, and that's what I guess what we're trying to do here is bring order back where order has been lost. Yeah, and so I thought it would be a little more simple than this. I didn't think that we would still be having to carry all of this weight on our shoulders. I thought more people would have recognized and jumped on and to help to bring order back where order was lost. Yeah, and to do what seems to be you know which it's very clear to us, that wrong has been done here. And so I just, anyway, just a little confusing for me, that more people haven't seen what we've seen. Yeah. And that there's
Or
not
maybe
order.
are quiet and they're sending us private messages, but they are not coming forward. I don't know why. Why do you think that is, Kristina? What is happening?
It's because it's been like this for the last years, but people that didn't want to see it, they didn't want to admit that something was going more towards commercialism than it was remaining towards the essence of the practice and the yoga. And that's okay, because everything has been affected by this force in a way. You mentioned God before. We are not able to handle a swimming pool, and then you have God that actually is handling everything, and the force. And of course, if you have this type of forces, in the universe with a big explosion and stuff like this, definitely Earth is going to be a place that actually we're going to experience these things constantly. And it's not just, I believe, it's not just, obviously, if you see around what's happening this time in the world, is things there is happening a split, and this is okay. In the beginning it was very scary. It was very scary for me as well, because I would have in my mind the words of Patabi Joyce that actually he wanted all the family to stay together in a lineage and to teach together and be together. And then all of us, we're going to experience this sort of like forces, especially as more and more the Westerners, they will enter on the field of organization. And we will experience things that actually will be create conflict and confusion, because all of us, we are in yoga because we believe on the strength of union. It's a name. And how we're gonna have be able to communicate to each other in a very simple understanding about basic things, which all they lie on yoga educations. Now, what is happening is that as more and more people they get involved into the practice, of course, it became more and more big. And I really admire, Manju and Saraswati as well, because they kept it as a jewel. They kept it as a jewel, because somehow had to balance, some point, find themselves outside from the system as it happens now in this form there is. What they did is they wanted to keep a balance. They wanted to keep an option open. So there are several changes that happened the last year, especially after Guruji's death, Patabi Joyce. Okay, and what I would like to say as well is that it's not a type of a trend, to want to be or of a movement. This for me is not a type of a movement. I'm not going to say anything different than I used to say for the last years. And it's not going to change anything in my life, the fact that we're going to talk about these things. Because seeing the situation, I had to stay outside from this for the last years, because it was very, very painful for me. But I was very protected by my Guruji, Manju. And also I always had a great respect for Saraswati. And Sharat for me was my teacher as well, and it was very, very important for me to do whatever was on my hand in order to keep in my mind and in my heart the family together. So the reason people they don't speak is because, first of all, a big part of the history has been gone. You have certified teachers now, they come out and say that the lineage starts and the traditional yoga starts from Sharat and after, which is not true, because we know that Sharat actually, he recognized Patabi Joyce as his teacher, and that our lineage is so, it goes generations before. And this was really, really important thing for people to know, the new generation to know. So immediately is a limitation on knowledge and how things they used to be in older days. And if
Right.
you don't have this knowledge, you don't have reference points, so you are maybe afraid, or maybe you think twice about how to express your questioning about how
Right.
the education system is being involved.
Right. Yeah. And I don't think that in the modern times, when I say modern times, after Patabi Joyce's passing away, I don't think that the people studying in India really had a lot of discussions around the lineage of what that meant and what the culture, what that lineage culture meant, and how important that was back when we were studying with Patabi Joyce, especially Old Shala. That was a conversation we had a lot. It was something that was always at the forefront of our minds. And like I had mentioned before, in a previous talk with Mariela and I, is that back then we were so immersed in the culture couldn't get away from it. There was no westernization there, and
Exactly.
so you really had to learn how to respect the culture, and part of that was to learn this traditional Indian culture, this lineage-based yoga, which is really what brought me to the practice because of that integrity. I'd heard like, wow, what is this? I'd never heard of this before, and then when I get there, I'm just absolutely fascinated with it, and there were all these talks around it, and it meant a lot to us, and I was determined, as I eventually became a teacher, to continually have that at the forefront of my mind, that I'm here representing this lineage. I'm
Exactly.
not really a part of it. They've honored, they've given me the privilege to be able to teach me, and for me to go out and do a little bit of teaching on my own, but I always recognize where that came from, and that's one thing that I feel like has always kept me humble, and also
Exactly.
also something that always kept me proud of being a teacher of this lineage, and so I think that with the westernization of Mysore, and Mysore, learning the Western ways and catering to us, I think it was a softer landing for people there, and they weren't quite as immersed in the culture as we were. And also, back then, when it was just a handful of students, we were accepted into their house. We
Exactly.
saw, we got to know them. They got to know us. We got to ask them questions about their experience, and I learned the most about that. I would say through Amma, but we'll get back to that. But anyway, that's my perspective: is that as Westernization came into Mysore, as we as students didn't quite get to spend the time that we used to be able to spend with the family, I think a little bit of that knowledge and potency was diluted. Yeah, and
Absolutely.
uh, and so we're sort of people started to take it for granted. um yeah, so
Yeah, there's one phrase that Kristina said the other day, and it was so important that I even wrote it down.
yeah.
And is Ashtanga is a system that works towards the freedom and independence.
Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
And these effects are, for me at least, since I have experienced them by the grace of my gurus, they are like the essence of the practice. They are like the residue that comes
Mhm.
after many, many years of practice. And once you experience, you taste that honey, then your decisions in life are going to be better. You're going to be more connected to who you are. You're not going to go along with the masses and
Mhm.
lose your power of choice. And I
Right.
think we are speaking about the power of choice that everyone that is in this live or is going to watch this recording has in
Mhm.
front of what is happening. So how would you describe what is happening? Because many may not know what this Ashtanga scandal is about. Can we just like summarize it in a nutshell, Kristina, and then Todd, please?
Okay.
Okay. So what is happening? It's just like in a way, this started from quite a few years ago, because it's based quite a lot of it on this pressure of authorization certification system. I remember and I recall, because I am quite a lot involved in this education situation with teachers, because when I realized that I will never become a guru, but at the same time, maybe I have my position is to prepare the students to go to the gurus. Okay, that what the seniority gives, and when I find my place, in this process, it was very beautiful and very loving, because it was an expression of bhakti and karma yoga. So, which is that two things that at the moment, yes, we can see very, very obvious is a bhakti yoga. All our teachers have been bhakti yogis. And at the same time, they teach, Krishnamacharya and Sri Bhatva Joyce, they were university teachers, so they had quite a lot of skills. In some point, after Derrick's death, because Derrick was not agreeing at all on authorization certification system back in 1998, because he could see he was already many years involved in Shivananda ashram, and he could see, how the system slowly could change. The seniority of the teachers back then was really important. So a senior teacher will introduce to the level before the level of philosophy and the practice before you go to Mysore. So by then you already been passed through this filter of preparation through the practice, through the basic yoga philosophy knowledge, in order to know how to behave when you reach Mysore.
Oh, right.
Something that has been disappeared the last years, on the aspect that people that did not have to go through this process, only they will learn the system of Ashtanga, but nobody will give them the essence of the yoga education in a way. To learn how to behave in a place that actually it was it's like an ashram, right? And very important. Also, the meaning of the blessing of the teacher for the teaching. That what David Joyce used to do, because when we started authorization certification system was blessing. Was the blessing for teaching, was not involved like, was not a carrot that actually people, they will have to follow in order to get.
Yeah, and I was going to say really quickly, one thing I realized when I showed up for my first trip in Mysore in the 90s is that there weren't a lot of people there that wanted to become teachers. There were people there just because they were on the path of yoga and wanted to learn and wanted to transform their own life. And that's why I came. I didn't know anything about becoming a teacher. I didn't know anything about yoga, but the attitude was not a bunch of people there trying to become teachers. Yeah,
exactly.
They were there for healing.
Absolutely.
On many different levels.
They love the practice, they enjoy the practice. And this was the main thing that actually we experienced, back then. And the teachers that will go to the country, because they were the only ones actually that will be able to translate this practice to the language of its country, because it's not just about teaching it, it's about being able to give it to the certain, under the centered language, to the people that will understand it better and better. So that was a really great importance of seniority, or how you gonna transmit this knowledge to people. So after a while, we will get the blessing of Patapi Joyce, and of course my authorization was free. Was a letter that was saying, recognize, the work I did, not just with him, but with Derrick as well. It was very, very beautiful letter. And when he gave it to me, I will never forget that, guys. He gave it to me, folded like this, and he said to me, open it. And was a really, really like a gift. Was a blessing. Something that now people that don't even have, when they teach teacher trainings, they don't have a blessing from anyone. They just call themselves teachers of teachers. So what happened after a few years, it's been asked from us just before Guruji died, to return our authorization letters and receive back an authorization letter with expiry date, that they will ask for us to be there every 1.5 months. This already was starting to become problematic on the aspect that the teacher was not always free. He had a family, had a shala,
1.5 years. Yeah, every 18
1.5
months.
years. 1.5 years. Obviously, this after a while stopped because it was not feasible to happen. And then after Guruji's death, after Guruji's death, the things started to take as well. It was I remember Sharat will not sit on Patapi Joy's chair for a few months. He will give this time of grief. With this time, as we see, is not even being given. We need to have this time of grieving, for the teacher. And back then, even Sharat realized that it's going to take him some time because obviously he had to balance the influences and what he had to do and how he has to do it. And from that point on, we had a several change in the system. First of all, two main members of the family, they will take a distance one after the other. That was Manju and then will be Saraswati because of the situation that was happening at the time. And then we have the senior teachers. Senior teachers, it will be one. I don't know if there is any other yoga system that actually is senior teachers being kicked out in a way. They've been pushed out on the way. That was a great shock as well for some of the teachers as well because they gave all their efforts, the charisma to bring people to Mysore for practice, and to make known because Mysore has been known by the people that the senior teachers will bring to Mysore.
So what you're saying is that when the Guru died, either Patavi Joyce and now Sharaji, there's a huge convulsion in the community. And for example, in my case, I went to Mysore and I had no idea that they were going to give me a blessing ever. I was not going for that blessing. I was going because I really felt I wanted to go deep in my studies and that India was pulling me. But I found out about the authorizations maybe a couple of years after I had been there. It was not like the carrot, like you're saying, that it has become.
Exactly.
It was more like a pilgrimage. And from the other side of the world, to find the feet of your teacher and honor them and respect them and listen to them and start making changes in our lives so we could eventually also transmit the teachings. And that takes a lot of effort, a lot of bhakti, like you say, Kristina, because you have to let go of so many concepts in your mind about how your life is supposed to look. And look at me, I'm a lawyer, and then I had to drop my career, and this yoga was so immense and so powerful. And this mysticism was so beautiful, so important, because yoga is a mystic path. Yoga is the transformation of our whole being through this magic method. So maybe, Todd, in the time that you were there, you also experienced this bhakti, this profound respect for who they were and what they meant in our life, these powerhouses, this like source of
and how much study they had, how much study and practice they did to get to where they were, and how much struggle they went through, and that and that realizing they deserve to be that authority because they worked so hard to become that authority, and there was a lot that they had to go through, and and for them, there were no second chances, especially when you're dealing with studying with Krishnamacharya. He expected 100% of you at all times, and if you failed for whatever reason, next lifetime. And for me, that really struck me deeply, of how much was on the line there when it came down to integrity and how serious they took it, and you feel like that you had to step up to that and you had to really conduct yourself correctly and you know and to deeply understand that brought more potency to your practice, and to understand what they went through gave me personally so much more faith in what I was going through in the process of transformation, you know, because it gets so hard, as you know, and you have to go through a lot of pain and internal struggle with emotions and everything else, you know, and I would always fall back on, well, my teachers went through that. Patabi Joyce went
through
through
the
that.
fire.
Amma went through that.
Yeah,
Shrat went through that.
yeah.
You know, and so there's this energetic potency that line, that lineage creates, because you can say that each of those teachers within that lineage were an initiated conduit to continue that energetic flow all the way back as far as wherever it goes. You know, we know Krishnamacharya, but there are ones before Krishnamacharya who gave
Exactly.
Krishnamacharya the knowledge that he had, and they had been through it. And the hopes are, when you're dealing with a line like that of Padampada and a lineage, the intention there, the reason why that is there, is they're trying to maintain that potency, and without with the smallest loss possible of that potency. And that's why there's that importance to go through the initiation to become the conduit. Where that energy stops is when you try to throw someone in there that hasn't been initiated. That stops the flow of energy. Anyone that does any sort of energetic work, whether it's with themselves through their practice or other means, should know the importance of conduits feeding a line of energy, which is what this is. If you take away the physical aspect of it and look at the energetic aspect of it, that's what it's about. Creating the channel through initiation along the lines of a lineage. How could we, as people who work with prana within our bodies, overlook that fact that is what has brought the potency of this practice forward to where we are now, and that we would so flippantly allow some usurper that is not initiated through the practice to just slide right in and try to be an authority. Like, it blows my mind.
It blows mine too, and I'm sure it blows yours, Kristina, to watch all
Yeah,
this
Yes, I mean,
pretending, all this pretending. Yeah.
I would
right.
like
Yeah.
to just compare this whole situation. Okay, we know that there's a great tradition behind. Mysore is a university city, so there's a great tradition behind. It's not just, I mean, the body. Obviously, we choose the body to learn, to learn about this existence, and the body doesn't lie. There is a holy by itself, and for me, is the most secret thing. We choose an art, a practice, a way of living that we have to do constant. We take choices, we want to hope it's towards the right direction. That they're going to have the less impact. We're not going to create violence. We try to learn, as much as possible with a way that actually is not going to disturb the air, as Derek used to say. Now, we have a tradition that has a big philosophical background. Our teachers, they were not teachers on the mountains. They were teachers in the city. They will deal with poverty sometimes. They will not have even the daily things to be able to, for the family to survive. And I included on this one, Manju as well, and a younger, and our lineage, basically. Those were the people that actually, they had to live in poverty for some time. Now,
Absolutely.
But they have knowledge. They were scholars. Now we are in a situation that on whichever university you go, there is no way to take a PhD, which is the equivalent of the certification. Sorry to say that, but if you have a high standard school that is presenting itself like the forum, the center, that from there is the highest knowledge being given on Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga, you need to have the professors and the people, the principals, they're going to sign the diplomas. They need to have the minimum standard of education, which is going to be, as we all know, at least the first three sequences. At least the first three sequences. Okay?
Right. Yeah.
And this knowledge to pass through their own body so they are able to understand, because they need to have emotional intelligence. In every private school, the person who provides financially the school is not necessarily the person that actually gives the diplomas. The diplomas always have to be signed by people that have this knowledge. It's like going to university and your diploma be signed by a person who just finished middle school.
Right.
Exactly.
It's not possible.
But
So,
the janitor is not
Right.
it's not possible. I say that with all the respect. I say that with all the respect, because at the end of the day, I've been to the place of shooting. I lost my husband very young with two young children. And the only thing is stayed with me, guys, really, was the children, the lineage, this knowledge that actually I've been taken from Derek, because he made sure that actually I had the first three sequences with handstands and full vinyasas. And basically, this was the only thing I hold myself from. But definitely here, I will not have any big problem if it was just like very clearly, okay, I am the person who provides financially the whole situation, but I cannot call myself principal and educator if I don't have what, the daily students have when they come into the school. This has to do with how clearly we honor our lineage, how clearly we honor our teachers. And if I can say something from this family, I will be always grateful, from this life and the next one, and I don't know how many other lives, because they really change the frequency on the planet.
Yeah.
This is wonderful. What you're saying is, it's about the substance, it's about the knowledge, it's about the vidya. That's the transmission. So the teacher cultivates it in themselves. And I remember very clearly, we were in Denmark in one of Charaji's tour, and he was in a conference, and he was telling us, I had a struggle. I had a big struggle. And to listen to your teacher saying that and saying, okay, I also have a struggle and it's very hard, but he's moving through it, and I can move with his help. And that's very inspiring for the student to have someone that is guiding them, because they know, they have been through it. They have done the practice. They have done the sadhana. They are yogis. They are students of yoga, like Sharaji used to say. It's not like a performance. It's not like, so I'm the owner. So now it's about substance. So this substance is being lost in the lineage. What is going to happen to the lineage if this keeps going like that? Why are people going to Mysore just for the paper and forgetting about the knowledge? Right. I think that's an important discussion.
Yeah. And speaking of struggle, we practiced with him back in the early days. He would start his day, his practice at 2:30 in the morning, and then around 3:45 or so, he would come and open the door for us to let us in, the first group, and then to just get back on the mat, So he had about a 2.5, 3-hour practice every day. And, the last maybe like 45 minutes of his practice was with us when we first started getting warmed up, putting down our mats. But you would see, Pajabi Joyce was harder on him than any of his other students, So Pajabi always made sure that Sharat experienced the full struggle of the practice. So he understood what everyone else was going through, but to a greater extent. So he would have that compassion and that's very important, to get that enabled him to guide us, you know, and to give us, that was also to give us faith when we were being pushed, to know that, yeah, you know, Shraji, he understood what that struggle meant. You know, it was to the point to where I would sometimes hear, because we would go sometimes over to Saraswati's where Sharat lived, for lunch, and we would hear Saraswati saying, you know, oh, I need to tell Guruji to lighten up on Sharat. You're going to break my son, you know. But she also knew that that's what he had to go through. You know, it was a requirement because all of them went through it. Patabi Joyce went through it. Krishnamacharya went through it. Amma went through it. Saraswati went through it. Manju went through it. They all went through it, you know. But that was in preparation. That was preparing them to be the instrument.
Absolutely.
Yeah? That was the
And
purification, you know, the
yeah, and so
purification.
you
So
never
they could like move the energy in us.
exactly right. Yeah, a clear channel, clear conduit, but also so they could teach in full confidence that I've been through this. You can do it too. You know,
Exactly.
And
and
it's so beautiful, Todd, you know, to experience that trust in your teacher, that you can
right,
let go, especially in the advanced series when you feel you're going to break your neck.
right.
And I remember he used to step in my mat. He would not touch me. He would just step my mat and I would just jump with so much like confidence because he was there. And that's an energetic connection that comes from the respect of the Shishya and also the knowledge of the Guru. It's like something that is karmically has been, it's a destiny, you know, for us to find a teacher. So when these things happened right in front of my eyes last February in the Charat Yoga Center, I was absolutely like astonished. I had no words. I was just like paralyzed by the theater, the performance that I had to see. And I'm sure you saw it through the media, and there was a feeling of profound disgust in front of everything I had experienced, and that was so real for me because my Guruji had been with me for so many years. What did you experience when you had to witness that, even though you were in different parts of the world?
Kristina?
Okay. Now, okay, it is a little bit surreal. For me, it was like two different things happening. Of course, I wasn't surprised. Is it too much to say that?
No.
Because more or less I follow, you know, what is happening, and I had many times through students had to deal with this type of mentality that they will bring to my shala, this type of mentality. You know? So I wasn't really surprised about that. I find that it was a bit of bad taste, the wrong moment, let's say, and insecurity sort of like structure, because it's very clear, you know, that it was a dream to become true, but obviously it was not the right moment. It was last winter was a winter for grief and for respect and be there for the family. And I know that, I tell you, because when Derek died, the place I went was Mysore. And Patabi Joyce lost Amma a few months before Derek died. So I experienced this grieving help from the family in a common space. And the thing is that obviously I feel very sad and sorry for Shruti, and I really feel, you know, her shock and her insecurity. The thing is now that she really has to think. She really has to sit down and think how she's going to take it from now on. No offense, no problem for her decisions. Obviously, it's her decisions. But for us, that for years, you know, we are supporting the Shala in Mysore. Somebody may say, but it's not your concern. Well, it is our concern because we're caring. We are not there to gain something. We don't talk about gaining something. Me personally, I am absolutely happy with what I have. because I
Right.
received the best of the quality, from Manju, from Sharad, from Patabi Joyce, and from Sharad in some point, and from Derek. So this
Yeah.
is the love of our teacher. Now, it's very,
Right.
very important now to understand that as soon these elements of other body works, they enter in the practice of yoga, then it starts to get diluted. And if there is not the basic respect towards the system and the method as it is, and we have to go and train, with somebody who does circus, or somebody who does dance, or somebody who does, which I have great respect for every body work,
Yeah.
and bring them into the yoga practice. This is
Right.
actually not the way. So
Right.
really somebody has to sit down and think that a person who takes certification with this paper can do anything. It cannot give, if it does something silly, nobody's going to say to them, you did something silly, because he's going to say, well, I'm certified,
Right.
but doesn't realize the responsibility that it takes on his hands, for the future generations,
Right.
We're going to continue to do what we do,
Right.
because not because we are better people, but because I think that we had the luck to experience the real teachings,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's also like a love for the students. And I speak for my own students, I really wanted them to experience the real thing. So I always prepare them with so much love and told them, I'm an arrow to Mysore, go to the source. And now there's like wow, I cannot send them to that school anymore. I have to redirect them to Saraswati and Manju, because otherwise they're not going to experience the real thing. They're going to miss on something that has been so transformative for so many of us, and they deserve the best. But that's when the karmas of the students come in. And some people are so confused because these influencers, these celebrities in the Ashtanga world, that for me is a deformation of the lineage, have so much power in the media. And some people are not really thinking, they're just following others. And their
Right.
discernment is covered because they have not done the practice. Like you
Right.
were saying, Kristina, it's about independence and freedom of mind. That's the residue of this practice. And if you have done it with these people, you are not experiencing the real thing.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
filter.
Yeah. We really have nothing to get. If anything, we have something to lose if people canceling us, for speaking out. And, but I
Whatever.
really don't care. Yeah. I don't care because I don't use
Don't.
props in my practice or in my teaching. So, you go about it on your own, and, whatever comes. But, talking about, Dharma here, my Dharma is found within my community and in my family, and not somewhere on the other side of the world. My Dharma isn't dictated by hashtags and media headlines. And if your Dharma doesn't start within your community, then it just gets dissipated, it seems to me, and stepping back a little bit into Harmony's podcast, which I had a really hard time getting through. I was sort of embarrassed for her, but at the same time, there was just more gaslighting and word salad. But she brought up something about Dharma and world wars and things like that. And, world wars, big conflicts start within a community. And if there aren't people within the community that step up into an uncomfortable place and call people out for doing the wrong thing within the community, then those people are enabled to gain more followers around them and become more powerful. And so when we're talking about Dharma and talking about world events that are happening, especially wars and things like that, we really have to step back and understand how those start to begin with.
Exactly.
They don't just blow up and become huge out of nowhere. They start small, and they start small within our communities. And if more people understood within smaller communities the difference between right and wrong, and if those people that do understand the difference between right and wrong understood that sometimes it's really uncomfortable to stand up for what is right and to call someone out for doing something wrong, then maybe we could avoid a lot of the stuff we're experiencing on a global level, because maybe more people would start to step up within their community and stand up for what's right. And so I don't need to be chastised by someone for doing the right thing. I don't need someone to dictate to me where my dharma lies. Yeah, that's for God to myself to figure out. And so I just wanted to make sure that I addressed that, you
Yeah,
know,
yes,
because
absolutely.
that gaslighting is lying. Okay, it's not being honest, and so still no one that has pushed back against us has had any honest, grounded opinion that has countered what we're saying here, that it's wrong that an uninitiated usurper is trying to take over the lineage. I don't care. Yeah, okay, Harmony, you proved yourself right. Certification doesn't mean shit, because you obviously don't know right from wrong, and you obviously don't know that it's not your place to tell other people what their dharma is. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
So,
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. It's by the
so I'm
actions
sort of,
you know
I'm
them.
sort of, yeah, I'm sort of embarrassed for her because, it seemed like that she took the spiritual short bus and just pumped the gas and drove it off a cliff.
Yeah,
Because,
but it's not only her that has been tampering with the method, Todd. That's very sad to watch. Certified teachers that, they were our guiding lights, and now they're mixing really new agey stuff into the mix. And
yeah,
where is the method? Why is it being, uh, let's say, like lost in this culmination of the decay? Like Kristina was saying, you were there before us, and you
mhm,
saw how the method, how the lineage, how the sword started decaying, how the family started splitting, how there were a lot
mhm,
of interests coming in and dark forces trying to grab something from themselves. And we are witnessing the culmination of this decay. And it's very sad. It's so sad, especially in this year of mourning for Sharaji.
mhm.
Kristina, what do we do? I mean, it's in these times of
What
extreme
do we,
confusion.
yes, first of all, as you said before, Todd, is our community. The
Mhm.
people that they are around. I mean, what I found is that, yes, I may not be involved into these big things or whatever, but the people they coming, they are really wonderful people. And this is the most important thing, because this is what really impressed me when I went to Patabi Joyce Shala, when I went to Derek Shala, and even for my first teacher was a student of Derek's, it's at the end, you have to choose, what do you want? You want many people to follow, and then you have to deal constantly with these bad, confused energies. I mean, this is what happened. This is what happened. We have to admit, more the people that will visit will be a mixed.
Yeah.
And then the peace feeling in the shala, the beauty feeling in the shala, the ability to work as we studied one by one.
Mhm.
I
Right.
remember now this one
Yeah.
by one phrase, it was not
Exactly.
so,
Right.
but I rejoiced this, like one by one,
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you will step in the place and
Yeah.
they will recognize the mood you were, right? So I
Right.
think this is the thing, how we continue like this,
Mm,
how we continue without being afraid, how we
mm,
continue, for for the sake of our teachers, through act of love, through act of for the students, through act for our lives, because
mm,
the method here is the teacher. It's not
mm,
you and me, or the gurus necessarily. The method is the teacher. It's the same method. We practice the same series every day. We change.
Right.
So the people that teach us this type of independence, to have our mat under our hand and practice wherever we are in the world, they give us the freedom, because they remind us it's about your breath. So what do? We continue talking about that and be peaceful and respect to each other. But this is the only way. We have to respect our co-teachers, our students, ourselves, our gurus. It's only about respect. So we're reminding what it needs to be reminded. And this is what it is. It's okay. And we hope on a change on this matter. If it doesn't happen, then we did our duty to inform people about it.
Right.
And we did not stay silent, out of fear. And we hope on a better solution on this problem.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And whoever is listening, we're listening. And whoever is not listening, it's okay. We're not trying to impose our views on anybody. We're just trying to inform you that where we come from, things were led by integrity. And there was like an authority that came from, like Todd said, from the initiation, from the fire of the transformation of the sadhana, not from being the wife of someone, because that holds no authority if you have not done the practice.
Right. Yeah. And the reason why Sharat spoke so highly of Amma, his grandmother, and how supportive she was for his, his journey filled with a lot of struggle because of the practice and what that demanded, both practice and being a teacher. The reason why he was able to find support, and the reason why Amma was so wise, is because she had gone through it herself. That's why he spoke so highly of her. The reason why she had such a presence, and I would have to agree with what Sharat would say, his grandmother's presence was stronger than Guruji's. I mean, there were times I didn't even understand it. There was sometimes she'd walk in the room and I would just feel like butterflies in my chest. I was like, what is it with this woman? She is so powerful and so loving, and she spoke. I mean, she had really gone through it. She loved to tell stories, Sometimes you could get her in a place where she would start telling stories and she was so animated. And you could tell that she still was proud of herself, that she did it. She went through it. And the study with Krishnamacharya, and how intense he was, and how intense it was to practice with him, and the study that she did. And so that's why it's imagine that. Imagine if you had a grandmother that had been through the practice like that, that when you struggled, you could go to and say, wow, she knows everything that I'm going through because she's been through it herself. That's why that's why he held her so high.
Yes,
And to
exactly.
compare, and for someone to compare Shruti to Amma blows my mind. Obviously, anyone that does that does not know her, has never been around her.
Yeah.
I mean, that just insulted Krishnamacharya, Patabi Joyce, Saraswati, Manju, and Sharat. To compare the
And
uninitiated usurper that Shruti is to Amma, like, you've got to be kidding me. The level of ignorance that takes is beyond me.
It's
What an
certified
insult.
ignorance.
What
Yes,
what an
yes, it is.
insult. In that state, and to lie, because it is a lie when you put words into someone's mouth, to lie and say that Sharat, I'm sure, is what she said, would feel the same way about Shruti as he did Amma. Bullshit. Absolutely not. You have never met the woman. One of the greatest people I've ever met in my life, probably one that had the deepest impression on me aside from Patabi Joyce. Like, seriously. Like, you've spent time around her, Kristina. Tell me,
Yes.
am I right? Like,
Definitely, you are right on this. I cannot really criticize Suti on the point of that, because basically it seems that her destiny was not to was to look after whatever Sharat will leave, but was not really. If it was for her to be a teacher, she would be already a teacher.
right.
I have great respect for her pain and for her situation at the moment, and that she has two young children to look after. And this
Yeah.
point, because I experienced. But the thing is that I will say, if I had to give a message, definitely, Amas was a wonderful person. And look how strong Saraswati is as well. I will say to Suti, bring the family together, sit down, have a conversation, stay a little bit on the side, to take some time to heal, think what you need to do, and realize the importance of this situation. It's a bit too soon. All these things, they're a bit too soon, too fast, too soon. And,
Yeah.
we cannot compare anyone with anyone. We cannot. It's impossible. It's not a place either. So Alma, she was an amazing, amazing woman, definitely. And I have to say that, Saraswati, an amazing woman, Sharmila, an amazing woman. Then Satu, the daughter of Manju, an amazing woman, and his wife, an amazing woman. But Manju's wife will never interrupt into it, will not put herself into this, because they did not choose to have. She's a teacher, she's an amazing teacher, in school. But, okay, in my case, it happened, and my husband, somehow, he saw a few years later, and he said, but I was in the teaching already when I met him. And he said to me, you're not going to teach Derek. He said to me, you're not going to teach. You stop teaching right now. If you don't complete the third sequence, and if you're not give a lot of hours into the practice. Okay.
Yeah, it's a personal karma, of course. It's a
It's a
personal
personal
karma.
karma.
Yeah. But
Okay.
exactly, each one of us has a personal karma. And in the Gita, it says that you should not imitate anyone's karma. That's the worst karma. It's better to do your own karma in humility, whatever it is. If it's a housewife, a housewife. But to pretend to be someone else's karma and to step into their shoes, it's not correct. And this is what we are bringing attention. Something very serious happened. The lineage is being tampered with. And for new generations that think that going to Mysore, to the Sharat Yoga Center, still has the same value as it had when the gurus were alive, please reflect on this. Please reflect.
Reflect on this, and just, it's okay, but we need to know where we stand. And sometimes the quality of students, it helps the teachers to get better and better. So I think that, obviously everybody, the shalas around the world, they're made for the students. They can visit any shala they want, But it's very important to understand that we need more study on the history. We need to understand a bit more about the practice. We need to understand more about the lineage, and not just follow for following. We need to understand that after some years of practice, something inside knows that the body doesn't lie, and the body cares the soul. And I'm really glad, guys, that we have the possibility to talk about these things. It's like it's a freedom to be able to.
Right.
No, and also the quality of the student manifests the quality of the teacher. That's how it goes. And someone is saying that Harmony was making sure to send students to Kino and Team only. Yes, they are working like in a cluster. These people, these usurpers, they're working together. And that's very important that you understand this, that all the podcasts that they're making, that it's all like an association to take over. So Mysore becomes, like Kristina once said, like yoga vacations. Instead of the source of Ashtanga yoga, And
Right.
Saraswati is in Mysore and Manju is in the US, and they are the source of the practice right now. No one
Right.
else is. The Western teachers cannot be teaching in India. It's absurd. It's like we are
It's
teaching
absurd.
our students to prepare them to go to the source. We are not
Right.
meant to
Absolutely.
be there.
Yeah.
Yes, no, it's not right. It's not. On the aspect that there are Indian students of Sharat, that actually they can help. They can help. They can be assist when these people will be able to experience, their own evolution into their own teachings. When constantly, we have the Westerners going around the world. I mean, we have the same problem in Europe.
Yeah.
European teachers are not being respected enough.
Yeah.
Sorry to say, because you have these big names of whatever, but okay, when I visit the country, I always have to take in mind that this student study with this person, that student study with this person, and I have to respect that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no, we don't want another yoga retreat by Westerners. I mean, uh, I do the same, but I'm not going to have the audacity to go to the place that Patabi Joyce had to build up, and then Shara had to build up, and then Saraswati and everything. And me to put myself in this situation, I don't stand anywhere there.
Right.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
the word audacity. They are having the audacity to do something that is profoundly wrong, that is not, is adharmic. It's completely against the Dharma. And this is our claim, we are not like trying to get like spotlight on us or anything. We want to save you from a place that has no leadership, that has no real authority or knowledge. Because like you
Right.
say, Kristina, the Indian students of Sharaji should be invited to teach in there. That would
Right.
be very,
And it's
very beautiful. Why are
and
they
it
not being invited?
yes,
Why Westerners?
right. And I would have never imagined how much the yoga scene around the world would have changed back when I first started practicing, and especially when I first started teaching. I would have never imagined what it's come to. And maybe that the people now that are new into this just got certified or authorized or just started the practice or whatever and see a future in this. I'm not sure if they understand how much can change from now forward if it's allowed to continue with what's going on at Sharat Yoga Center. How it could fracture the whole thing. We don't need the lineage to splinter outside of the Joyce family in the sense of those who have been initiated correctly. Once you start allowing people to come in, like Shruti, who have not been initiated, you'll understand what that can cause years down the road. When Westerners start thinking Westerners outside of the Joyce family completely, like Hino, start claiming that they're part of the lineage and what that can potentially do, you know? But I'm just saying, I'm trying to give an example of I would have never imagined where yoga, how far it would come and how much it would change the whole environment around the world, how that's changed in regards to yoga from when I first stepped on the mat in Mysore to now. And so I can imagine that I really can't clearly foresee how much can change from now into the future. But what I'm saying is when you let a little bit of integrity in, lack of integrity in, that's really going to change the situation. Yeah. Because
so yes,
before, the people who were practicing yoga, when we all first started practicing, especially Kristina and I, there was basically just traditional yoga. Pretty much. You could say Shivananda yoga, Ashtanga
exactly.
yoga, Iyengar
Satyananda,
yoga, you know, yeah, Sitananda yoga. You know, there you could say that they're all pretty much traditional practices. That's anyone who owns studios or whatever around the world. It was usually based on that. Now I would have never imagined that the vinyasa flows and goat yoga and whatever else people are doing out there would have ended up taking over. Back when I first started, I never imagined that, you know?
yes,
And it snuck
surprise.
up, snuck up, and all of a sudden, like, whoa, where are my students? Oh, they're down the street doing goat yoga because they have a better playlist or whatever, and they like to play with animals, you know. But I would have never imagined that when I first started. But it
Yes,
just
exactly.
slips in. It just slips in the back door, and before you know it,
Surreal. It's
right,
surreal.
there's
Yes,
puppies
yes,
and goats and whatever else that they're bringing into yoga class,
yes.
and and
And this
so
is
Yes,
called yoga
yes, yes,
capitalism, and we know
exactly.
what
yes,
So
the
exactly,
yoga
exactly.
so this
capitalism is
is
starting
yeah,
from.
and so
Commercialism.
the lack of integrity is slowly seeping in with what's happening now, and you can't quite imagine where it's going to go. But I can
Yes.
tell you, it's going to sneak up on you. It could turn into something much bigger, you
No.
Yeah.
know. So you got to be cautious.
I
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
read a comment that someone is posting that I think is really beautiful. The impure teachers are being exposed, just as boiling gold brings impurities to the top. This fire has brought the fake teachers into exposures. And I think it's the fire of our gurus. I think so. It's not
Yeah.
us again. We're
No.
just instruments to something bigger than us. We don't have any personal interest here. We want to preserve the lineage because it has given us so much. It has completely transformed our way of being in this world, and I think more deserve this quality, this power, this intensity. It's like the force, the force is the force. You cannot
Right.
fake it, you cannot pretend to be it if you don't have it.
Right. Yeah.
So now it's up to each one of you that are listening to us, and please write us, and please come forward. To all my colleagues, please come forward. I mean, you write me privately and you say, why are you doing this live? And please come forward. Instead of
Right.
criticizing what we're doing,
Yeah.
come
And when you
forward
do,
and
and it,
share your thoughts.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's like we've been so many years into this. It's like, oh my God, I feel like Acropolis a little bit. It's like sometimes I go like, oh, but at the end of the day, that gives you the freedom as well to be able to be yourself. And I think it's nice somebody to. I mean, after all this confusion, all
Yeah.
this doubt, all these speculations, people coming out and just speculate. I mean, the back should be round, the back should be straight, this,
Yeah.
that. I mean, we hear and we say everything.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, basta, enough.
Breathe,
You know,
breathe.
we,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Kristana does, it's
Exactly,
okay.
Kristana.
Things are gonna change, it's the nature, but
Mhm.
stand, just like and respect for each other, that's
Oh,
it. I
yes.
mean, we don't know more for our students. We are not there to give them 10 years up to Navasana, I mean,
Yeah.
create these painful situations to people because we think we know everything and everybody else doesn't know nothing, It's like we need honesty, and we are very lucky. We are very lucky. What
We
can
have
I
been
say?
so lucky, so
Yeah.
lucky. I
So
don't know.
lucky.
It's like winning the lotto 1,000,000,000 times.
That's for sure.
So we really want this good like honey to reach you. That's the thing.
Right.
Another comment. The thing is, who's deciding who is in charge to give certifications and authorizations in the Sharad Yoga Center? For example, if Miss X is invited in Mysore to teach, of course, she will make easier for her personal students to be authorized and certified. And this is what happened last season in Mysore. The
Right.
students, even like the husband of a certified teacher who was assisting there for 3 months, he got authorized level 2 without ever practicing the full series. Kristina, I had to witness that. It
Yes,
Yeah.
was so
it
bad,
is
so bad.
confusing, and this has to do with, unfortunately, has to do with the knowledge and be affected by people and situation that you are vulnerable. When you lose your husband, you are vulnerable. You're, regardless how much independence you have with money, with all these things. When something like this strike, you losing yourself.
You lose your
You don't
center.
know where to start. Where to start. So
And that's where the vultures take advantage.
yes,
Right.
Bad karma for his
Yes.
colleagues.
And
Bad karma.
with great sincerity, Shruti,
Yeah.
take your time and see what's happening. Step back and see what's happening, because it's not about financial situation now. This is about the future from your part of Ashtanga. Because, as I said, the rest will continue. The knowledge always finds
I
a
understand.
mystical
I
path.
understand where you're coming from, but I think you're maybe giving Shruti a little too much credit here because she understands what's going on. No,
I'm
really.
just,
I mean, I hear you. You've got compassion for her, and you're saying step back, but I don't. I'm not sure if you know the full story. But
yes, I guess
and
I guess I am
yeah,
a bit. The only point I have in common is
yeah,
to be a widowed.
right. Uh-huh.
From this point
Yeah.
of view, I must say that I can understand a little bit because it took me 15 years to
Yeah.
recover. I was
Wow.
already
Sure.
married and I had another child.
Yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
still,
Yeah.
so there are many aspects of this. But as I said, different the
Yeah.
business part,
Yeah.
different to put your signature, because on whichever place we put our signature on diplomas, we
Yeah.
take the bad karma if this person is not in the
Right.
right place mentally.
Yeah.
Okay, so if a person is not in the right place to receive this blessing, because the
Yeah.
signature is the blessing, this is
Right.
what we don't understand. We
Yeah.
think, okay, like a teacher training, I give you this money, you
Yeah.
give me. Is any other place, any other school that you pay for the paper? You tell me. Is any other school that you pay the fees and then you pay for the paper far more
Yeah.
expensive than the fees?
Right.
Nowhere else.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I guess it's
It's a
crazy.
market. It's a market. It
It's a
has become a
market.
market. Remember, I don't know if you remember in the Bible when Jesus comes back from India and he finds this market in the temple
Exactly.
and he
And this
starts
is the thing.
kicking the tables and saying,
Yeah.
"You cannot do this in the house of my father." And that's the indignation that I felt in that shala last February. The indignation
Yes,
of seeing the
exactly.
hard work of my guru
Mhm.
being destroyed in the hands of these thieves, because that's the word. And
Yeah.
if you can listen, please listen and share. We really, and if you have the courage to come forward, please write us. And we're ready to come with you and support you because I know it's not easy. It takes, like a lot of intention to come forward and say, this is not right. And we love the method so much and we love our guru so much that we cannot allow this to happen. At least we have to do our duty and say this is not okay.
Right.
Thank you,
Yeah.
both of you. And it's been
Thank
an
you so
hour
much.
and 15 minutes. It's like
Yeah.
time
Thank
is
you, Kristina.
moving.
I really appreciate you
So
coming out and
thank you
talking
so
with
much
us and supporting
for
us
having me. It's
and
really,
Thank you.
supporting the
Thank you for
family. Yeah.
everybody that joined, Todd and Bryce in Atlanta. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate your support. It was a very lonely journey for me for 6 months. And then having
Yeah.
you here with me is a confirmation that I was not like loony, as
Right.
everybody was saying, that I was
yes,
Yeah.
not like acting out of envy, because I was not. I would have never accepted a paper coming from
Yeah.
someone that was not my guru. And just the deep respect and the bhakti, like you said, Kristina, the love, the devotion, and the gratitude we feel for our gurus.
yes, there's no any other way. This is the fine print. What can do? This what it is.
Yeah. All
Thank you
right.
so much.
Love
Thank
you
you,
all.
Todd. Thank you,
Yeah.
Mariel.
No, you're
Thank
welcome.
you
Yeah.
all
Thank
for
you.
Right.
coming.
You guys.
Yeah. Until next time. Yeah.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.